welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Mr. Charles, and today I will be unpacking how to do English paper 1, question 1, comprehension. It is a problem nationally, but hopefully, this video will assist you. First things first, please understand the structure of the question paper for paper 1. Paper 1 is a language paper consisting of the comprehension, the summary, the advertisement, your cartoon, and your editing. You are required to answer all the questions, okay? It is a 2-hour paper out of 70. You should know this by now. Now, comprehension is P2. Now, if you don't understand the comprehension, you're gone. If you do not understand the comprehension, you are gone. Simple as that. If you do not understand the questions, you might have a problem. Therefore, what must you do? You must equip yourself. You must read consistently and constantly all the time. You have to read. Because when you read, your brain is able to interpret information and process information. If you only read when you have to read, there's a high probability you are going to struggle with the comprehension, because this is not FAL, it's home language. The comprehension, it is pitched at a certain level, okay? So please read carefully and read critically. I think that's important. You do not read the comprehension like you read a newspaper, okay? So firstly, you check how many paragraphs, you look at the title, you look at the byline, you look at the subheading as well. There might be a question on the subheading, there might be a question on the title, there might be an opinion question on the title. So you look at the title. What does the title infer? What does it mean? Is it literal? Is it figurative? What is the title about? Make notes. You are required to write on the question paper. Then look at the byline. What's happening there? Is the byline giving you information? Is the byline asking you a question? And what kind of question? Obviously a rhetorical question, but what's the intention of the byline? Is the byline there to provoke your thinking? Is it to engage you? Is it to make you think or consider or contemplate or whatever? So these are questions that you must ask yourself. When you read the comprehension, you read for meaning, okay? In other words, you must understand what you read. I think that's a given. Here's the important part. Read and try to pick up on the writer's attitude as well. And I think this is a difficulty for our learners. Is the writer being empathetic? Is the writer being sympathetic? Is the writer being critical? Is he criticizing? Is the writer providing an anecdotal storytelling approach? Pick up on the writer's attitude. Pick up on the writer's style. Is the writer including many professional people? Is the writer writing from his personal experience? Is the writer using the word I, the personal pronoun I, all the time? Because when he's doing that, he's giving you a personal account of his life, and that is subjective. Does the article include a lot of data, a lot of percentages, a lot of information, a lot of stats? Because if so, there's a high probability the comprehension is objective. So when you read, you do not only read for meaning. Pick up on the writer's attitude. The writer's being sarcastic here. The writer's giving advice. The writer's being critical. Wow, the writer's being empathetic here. Pick up on the writer's attitude. Pick up on the writer's tone. Okay, and I think that is where we struggle. We can read for meaning. That's only one facet. Whatever question asks, account for the writer's attitude. And then you must be able to account for that, unfortunately. So pick up on the writer's attitude, on the writer's mood. Check whether the writer is subjective or objective. Check whether the writer is using the word I, or we. If he's using we, he is using a plural pronoun to be inclusive. And this is obviously another strategy. So you pick up on all these things. Okay? So the comprehension, you will have text A and text B. Text A will be the written text. It will be the written text. Text B will be the visual text. It's clearly marked text A and text B. Written, visual. Right, words, imagery, a picture. I'm telling you now, I haven't seen the question paper, but I'm telling you, there is a correlation between the two. There is a link between the text A and text B. There is a correlation because the last question will ask you, how does text B or how does the views in text B reinforce the views in text A of paragraph 7? Or to what extent does the views in text B reinforce the views in text A, paragraph 8? And when you see the word reinforce, or when you see the word support, you never write a difference. Reinforce, you find the commonality, you find the similarity, you write what is the same. The moment you are going to account for the difference between the two, you are going to have a problem. How does the views in text B reinforce the same? In other words, you find the commonality between the two. If text B is giving you an image of a machine, AI machine, taking over and replacing humans, and text A made reference to the idea that AI or artificial intelligence will inevitably take over one day, there's your link. There you have your correlation. Okay, so you can argue that in text B, we are given a visual representation of how AI will slowly replace humans. In text A, however, the same idea is expressed where the author explained that AI is replacing humans at a steady pace, something like that. But there must be a relation between the two. Okay? Questions like account for the rhetorical question. Be aware of that. What do you do when they say account for the rhetorical question? All you do is you write the rhetorical question, or the function of the rhetorical question engages the reader to think about. And then what you do, you link it back to context. Always refer back to the comprehension and never lift. Do not lift. In other words, do not write verbatim unless you are instructed to. So you will have a technical response. It is to engage the reader to think about, and you link it back to context. Okay? Questions like account for the pronoun I. It is to provide a personalized account or personal experience about, link it back to context. Account for we. We is to create inclusivity. It is to include the reader. It's to make the reader feel part of, link back to context. Okay, I, we, you, pronoun you. It is to address the reader directly about. It is to address the reader directly about, and you link it back to context. Always link back to what is being discussed. If you see a single line paragraph, what is a single line paragraph? It's one line. The moment you see that, all you do is the function of the single line paragraph is to emphasize or centralize, link it back to context. Emphasize or centralize the idea that, link back to context. Sometimes you will get those difficult questions. For example, account for the apparent contradiction. What we're looking for the shift in meaning. You must explain the contradiction. On the one hand, the speaker or the author is making this point. However, on the other hand, is also stating that point. It must be contradictory. That's your contradiction. Using the word however is a perfect indicator to indicate the shift. When you get the word paradox, explain the paradox, the same idea. Find the shift in meaning. When they say the word contrast, the same approach. When they say irony, the same approach. The word however must be in the center of your answer. Okay? Also, ideally, look at the mark allocation. If you see 3 marks, you cannot write one sentence. 3 marks you have to account. Sometimes it is 2 marks plus tone, or sometimes it is tone plus 2, or sometimes it is 3 marks well discussed answer, or whatever the marking guideline will indicate. But it is incomprehensible to write one sentence for 3 marks, not at this level. And please answer all the questions, irrespective of the difficulty. Answer all the questions. Okay? So the comprehension, you need to really understand. Answer the question. You know what you do? Let's say you get a question, for example, how does the writer's diction reinforce his attitude in paragraph 7? What you do, you need to unpack the question, deconstruct the question. So you have, how does the writer's diction? So you must have diction. Ideally, you quote. The writer uses the diction quote to emphasize or to display a thoughtful attitude about context. Diction, attitude, context. Always context. Okay? So when you get those difficult questions, unpack the question for yourself. Deconstruct the question. Okay? And try to understand the question. So when they say tone, they are looking for an adjective, a word. When they say diction, you can quote and explain in context. And that's what we are looking for. So please, we can do this. If you do like this video, please like, subscribe, and do comment. Cheers.